Well, hello, 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 and welcome. This is Jolene with the Jewel Design, and we're here today with a mini how-to. Not quite what I would normally do, but a different type of cover. How's that? So, as you see, I have fabric here, I have a gift bag, and my hands are flaring, and they may not match my words. So, I had filmed this whole thing, and the wording was off, and there was an odd noise in the background, and I was talking too much, and this was just a really long video. So, I am speeding it up, but I am dubbing over it so that I can still get my point across. So you'll have to sort of see how this works and hope the hands are not too matchy with the rest of my view. But as you can see, I have fabrics and a gift bag here, and we're going to turn a gift bag into covers. I really love it. It has some glitter on it. I think it's going to be a great size for a tabbed journal. Now, I watched Rhoda Burks at Rhoda6666 do a tabbed journal, finishing one a month or two ago. And then I just caught Cheryl Talafus doing her little one with a signature and some pages in it for a dear friend. And she got the idea from Carol Laws. And I believe her and Rhoda both found Carol Laws 838, who did this tab journal idea over a year ago, or close to a year ago. And so I want to take a shot at it as an idea book. So as you see, I've got packaging, I've got a gift bag, and we're gonna put these two together and make a cover. Now it won't be as hard as the hardback you just saw me pull out, but we're gonna make this work since I loved it. It's in the purples and the blues and the pinks that I love. So I'm just gonna walk you through it with me as we turn a gift bag into a sort of like fabric, turn it into paper, fabric, whatever you want to call it. It is a slightly shiny thing. So we won't, of course, waste anything. We're going to still use that blue ribbon handle somewhere else. Too bad I'd already done the blue journal. But I have other journals that I probably can do this with. So it's not the end of the world. Never waste anything, right? So as you see, let's see. So yeah, we're going to try to carefully pull it apart at the seams where it already exists. Now I started pulling at it and realized it was sort of breaking. Tearing a little funky, and I didn't want to lose any real tab areas because we need that to wrap around the packaging. It was a stencil, an envelope for a stencil order. So it was not super thick. It's not like our press board. It's a little thinner, but it's not just, about the same, I guess, as a cardboard sandwich, not sandwich, cereal box. So I worked through it with my X-Acto knife. It's not working super great because I do want to keep as much as I can and try not. I can rip into that side a little bit because I don't need all of it. Well, of course, I'll never get wasted. Whatever's left over will go into the scrap pile for anything purple that I do. So this is going to be an idea book. Pray to God I don't cut myself, which I don't think I do. I actually survived the whole process without cutting myself, which is amazing. As I swipe my hand across it. So I'm trying to get in there. I'm trying to find the gap, and I just sort of poke into it. I'm like, nope, this isn't going to work. So we'll get the undone out, and it does help some. I know this is totally up in your face the whole time. I am like right under the camera because I've got it low to get good quality on the coloring. I don't know how I don't poke myself, guys. I really don't. I don't know how I don't totally, like, either one, botch the bag or two, kill myself. Come to find out, I probably should have worked from the bottom first, and it would have been a whole lot easier. That sort of gave later, but I'm working with the seam work that's there, and you can't see it, but I'm cutting my way through it. And so, yes, this undone is great. It is a liquid, but it evaporates really quickly, so everything stays dry. And if there was any adhesive around, it actually dries and still sticks. So there are some sticky spots later that I'm like, oh, interesting. But I get my way through this, and I took this about 45-minute video and shrunk it down to 30 minutes, so I still have time to talk, but hopefully not too much. Because this is going to be a bummer if I, have too much time at the end of all of this. So we are going to open it up, and we're going to make the most of it, so that we have what we need to wrap around the edges of the cardboard. Now there are holes left over from the ribbon, and really one of them are going to get wrapped to the back. The ones on the front we can cover with flowers, with ribbon, with gems. I may even try to get smart, which I think I've already forgotten to do so. But I could even, before I do the inside backing, decide to punch holes to do hardware. I keep always forgetting to do hardware plates and stuff like that I want for the front covers, and then I get upset with myself because, I can't hide the good stuff. So I thought I could undo the bottom like you would unwrap a present, and it did not want to work in my favor. So I'm getting in there, and I'm totally struggling through this. You get to see the hems and hawings of it all, but once it popped out, look, it opened right up. It was so easy. I was like, I was still doing this the hard way. There's plenty of the bottom though to cut off, which makes it helpful. I mean, I still can wrap it around, plenty to wrap around the cardboard to do my cover. But you can see now we have these three beautiful fabrics. I found them. I wanted purple. That one goes beautifully. The other two are a little floral, but knowing me and all my papers and scraps and ideas, those are two are going to go just fine with the other pieces. So I'm really stoked about the tea dyed, for a majority of the three tabs, I believe, and I'll use the other two for the two tabs to offset it. The goal is to go every other page with a three tab, and the ones in between that are two tabs. I'm going to keep everything at 9 inches tall and go out as far as 7 inches wide with a page, but I can go in as early as 5, 3, 2.5, a tab. I may tab something, like just enough paper to glue onto the fabric tab, and then maybe a pocket insert. It may be something as an idea that I don't want to forget about that you would put on a page, but maybe I don't want to put it on a page right now. Maybe I want to be able to investigate it left and right, right? Left and right, back and forth, who knows what. So the goal is to definitely do sort of the 5 tab setup that I've seen in both Rhoda and Cheryl's. And I liked Cheryl's 3 and 2 only. 3 first page, 2 the second page, 3 the third page, like working them back and forth. And I'm going to try to make them all the same size tabs, and I'm also going to try to keep them somewhat evenly spaced because that's my OCD that I cannot stand. Now I'm talking about right here about making sure I hide my tabs like you've seen me do lately with a lot of hiding my seams. I want to make sure that when I do the inside cover, I am hiding, well, I was going to hide the tabs on the outside. So everybody else has put their tabs, I believe. Rhoda hid her tabs, so her cover went on top of the tabs and you couldn't see them. Cheryl wrapped it around her cover and then ended up covering it with lace so you couldn't tell they were there. So either way, you can't hide it, but I didn't want to put anything on the outside of my cover. I want to decorate my cover, but I don't want to put like a border strip like we always do to cover the seam work. So I'm going to make sure that, I think in the end I decided I'm going to do tissue on the other side, and so I can put my fabric tab on the inside of the cover, not the outside. I'm not going to wrap it around to the outside where you can see it on the cover or on the back cover. That would drive me insane. It did drive Cheryl insane too in the end. So she covered it, which works beautifully. Hers turned out gorgeous, but I don't want to cover up any of that glitter on that end. Now, as you see, I'm going to struggle, haha, because things are still sticking as after the undone dried. I am trying to figure out to give myself a quarter, 3/4, an inch seam gap, whatever you want to call it, over the folded area, because the folded area is exactly what I'm judging my book page by. And I am going to try to cut it. Haha, as you see, I'm struggling because it doesn't quite fit within the guide of my cutting machine. So trying to get it in there and not lose anything I don't want. I'm going to try to line up the seam and figure out how wide it is and cut off enough to give me something to fold over the paper. But I was having a hard time laying it out to where I could see like the straightness of it all. Haha, I should know better. Not even gift bags are folded straight. We had a few gaps there. So there is some white on one end compared to the other one, which is pretty small. But I think just depending how you cover the inside of your cover, you've got paper, you've got tissue paper, you've got more wrapping paper, you can use anything. So with a little distressed cutting, I think you can cover any seam work, as you saw me do with the fabrics in the hardback cover, right, which we attempted, or even in my tall skinny journal, right, you overlay one on top of the other and you get that book page book cover feel that you're trying to cover the seam work from the front side to the back. But I'm struggling, of course, as usual, trying to make this work and get it to fit in there. Now some ends ended up some sides ended up a little thin. Top and bottom were not. Top and bottom gave me plenty of room to bring down, but I didn't quite get enough. I cut a little too much off on the sides of each cover, so I didn't quite. Um, yeah, I hemmed and hawed there. I really not that there's much to really. I probably should have measured it and went like, okay, 9.5 here or 9.25 there, and try to be a little bit more precise as I hit the camera. Sorry, but we have all this excess, and this is gonna be great. It'll be some lovely idea that I will use, the paper for. The goal definitely the next 6 months or whatever is to come up with ideas. Watch you guys. I want to be crafty, but I don't know what. I want to go watch a bunch of videos and go, oh, someone's doing this challenge. Isn't this great? I want to make one of those, and I want to have it as an idea in my book, and so at any point I can go back and look. Now I am talking about gosh only knows what. Who knows? Oh, I'm trying to figure out the size, I think, of the cardboard and how to cut it and how to cover it and all that fun stuff. So I do fold it and make sure for sure that I am literally 7 inches wide. So it's definitely it's almost a square book, but not quite, and it is 9 inches tall. And somewhere in this grasp, I goof up and I make the back cover bigger than the front. Not by much, but enough. And here in that fold in the bottom, it all depends on how that bag folded. That I ended up with a little extra pink in the front. And so, oh wow, it's there. You'll see it. And then there's this prop. Here we are again where my cardboard is bigger than my cutting board or my cutting machine. And that machine can barely cut as it is. So I was really taking my chances anyway. But I had a nice straight line here, or pretty straight line, on that folded edge already from the envelope. And that was, like I said, a stencil, just a basic mailing envelope. The harder ones that we use, like the priority mail, and the stencil company has them. And so whatever stencil company I bought from, she put it in a huge envelope for me so I wouldn't, botch up my stencil. So we're using that. I took the fold as at my edge, and I'm going to measure in the other way around. There we go. 9 inches in, because that'll be the height. And we will go. Oh no, yeah, okay. So I'd go 7 inches. Duh. Let's not waste. The product, right? So we're gonna go 7 for the width, as if we were looking at it like any other cover. Match it up, line it up. Ha ha. Hoping my line there is straight, right? I didn't do too bad, all in all, ladies and gentlemen. Really, I thought I did pretty good. Trying to keep this pretty level. It wasn't as I'm gonna cut all the way top and bottom because I want to try to find a straight line for sure to work with, and then hoping that I can then square up the other 3 lines. So I did double check it because it really looked the whole time it looked weird to me. It totally looked like I was off. And in the end, like the front cover actually came out pretty good. Haha, I say that though, and then I'm like, maybe not. 7 inches, yeah. Yeah, I started to try to make a line and realized I'm just doing it the wrong direction, so I'm, going off kilter. And this is where I thought I would have messed up, and I actually didn't do too bad. It's one of them I do goof up, and I don't remember which one later when I'm trying to clean it up, and I'm kicking myself going, well, wait a minute, why doesn't this look right? Yeah, I double check because I keep thinking I'm measuring off the oops line, and I'm not. So I'm trying to be good. I am trying to measure. I'm trying to make lines. I'm trying to double check. And to me, the way I'm looking at this, it totally doesn't look like it's straight. Like I've got one way or another, but I keep checking it, and all right, it's 9 inches off, so let's give it a shot. I think the hard part is I am trying to cut it with the scissors, and I am following the line. I do pretty good. I don't know how you guys do it. I am terrible. You know this if you watch me constantly. I am a terrible cutter. Um, even with a cutting board, it doesn't guarantee anything. So this should be fun cutting a bunch of tabs for fabric. Yeah, I'm trying to cut a bunch of them. We'll see what happens. So I will probably not do that on camera and just show you my chaos. Now I'm not perfectly cut. I do notice this. I have edges that are a little off. And I go, hey, let me get the cutter out and let's see if I can fine tune them. And I goof up right off the bat. I don't check anything. It gets caught. And I realize I'm taking way too much off. Something shifts in my cutting. I put this on the back. So here's the first one I cut. Oh, maybe that's why it's too big. Now this one, because it's goofed up, I end up using it on the back cover because I want to make sure that I have as a very solid front cover. to bounce off of. Even if it is just mine, I don't want to mess it up. So I do try to square it up. I do try to, so I'm just taking little bits off at this point, finding smart, tight edges to work with. But I totally botched that one corner, and I'm like, I'm able to fix it a little bit later, and it doesn't really affect the width, surprisingly, when I compare the two. But how I end up with over 9 inches, a smidge over 9 inches for the back cover, I have no clue. I'm just baffled. So now I'm just trying to cut and clean it up so I have nice straight edges to work with, because now that it fits in my cutter, and I'm going to try and, use a straight line down the 9 inch sort of score line that I have, because you never know. But I almost goofed that up. I'm like, duh, here we go again. 7 inches first, because we want a bigger chunk of leftover cardboard, right? The middle of my cut machine is, the blade is all goofed up, so it doesn't do really well, which is, I don't know, I guess I'm due for another one. I need my mother's Big Bertha. I really do. It's a metal on metal. It's not this plastic that keeps warping. Ugh. I just don't want to spend, 50 or $100. I'm like, ugh, I should. I do so much paperwork. I really should. For the girls, myself, I need a better cutting machine. Because Big Bertha, Mom's Big Bertha would cut this without a problem. So, and nothing's warped to go with it. So it's metal on metal on metal. I think the handle's metal. The blade is good, and the base is definitely metal. So. All right, so we're trying to square it up, and I'm going to actually square it up on the bottom and the left score lines. I'm not taking a chance with anything. And maybe by doing that, so I got right at 9 inches, height-wise. I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm a smidge smaller in the front than I am the back. And maybe because I was more precise, with the cutting machine, I got a perfect 9 on the front, and that's why I got a little longer on the back. Who knows? We'll see. It may not be noticeable in the end, with the pages and laces and whatever. We might never notice it. It might not be anything. So, what am I talking about right now? I don't know. Interesting, right? No clue. All right, so I almost had my first fatal error right here, and put the white side out, which I don't want to see. I am, in the end, I am deciding to do tissue paper, so I want that sort of cleaner cardboard to work with. I try to fold it back in to how the bag may have been folded in 2 of the 4 corners, but I'm like going, this is too much fabric. And because the corners are perforated, like they're perfectly folded at an angle, which when you're doing covers, you want that perfect angle corner cutter, I sort of try to use what's there for me, but everything's a little flimsy, and every little thing counts against me, right? So it almost works. I cut a little too close into the corner, and so things aren't a perfect cover, but I'll be able to hide all of that with the tissue. The white that we're seeing on the paper for, which everything else is colored except for that one end, and it's a white tab, and I'm like, white, pink, marbled, it's all different, but we're going to cover that with some dark tissue, and it's going to take care of the problem. I just want to make sure there's no white on the front. Now, if there is any white that we can see paper and not marbled, I will probably cover it with the new lavender Tim Holtz oxide that I have. I'll just make it a lavender, and then we cover it with the tissue. It shouldn't be a problem. So we're on to the glitter glue, and I don't know, Mod Podge might have been easy to do this with. I don't know. Fabri-Tac could have worked because it is sort of a glossy bag. There was times where it seemed to come right up, which I was really shocked. Which was a benefit right here because I got it all wrinkled and, So yeah, I mean the glitter glue worked fine. Once I had to get the rhythm of it, and it was warm in the garage. So things were drying really fast, so faster than I could get sometimes the paper down. So yeah, this is where the corners don't quite meet up. My seam work isn't quite what I want, and I realize my other ends are not glued down. So it'll take me a second to go, oh wait, my other ends aren't cut. I don't have my corners cut. So the other ends work a little better because I am trying to cut it outside that corner, and they cover nicely. It's when you go to cut, it, and your angle goes below that corner, it doesn't line up well. So there's a tip right there. Make sure that your diagonal, which is the reverse of a standard tag. When you're doing tags, we cut the other way, right? Or do we cut the same way? I guess we cut the same way, especially when we're doing envelope tabs. When we do pocket tabs, we do the same thing, actually. Yeah, just make sure you cut that angle, outside the corner that you're matching up with, so that the two ends will actually meet up. So here I am trying to clean up some of the extra paper just so it doesn't get in the way without ripping into anything else. So yeah, it just depends. Sometimes I cut in too far and sometimes I cut outside like I'm supposed to. So sorry. Yeah, it definitely goes back and forth. But it has been warm. How not, for once I'm not talking too much about weather, but we are looking at mid to almost 90 degrees here in my parts of California this week. Yay me, yay us, woohoo. I don't know. Um, it was great this weekend. We did hit 80 on Friday, which was when I started my deck project. Silly me. And then it was only about 70 on Saturday, and it was about mid 70s, I think, on Sunday, or felt like like mid 70s on Sunday. I could not seem to keep myself out of the um, out of the sun and out of the backyard. Took me 3 days and help from my dad and his neighbor and my youngest, and we knocked out some rotting decks. I'm really stoked about that. So works pretty well. Tape it, glue it. I trim a little things later, but I think for the most part, whatever we do, it will hold out. Looks great. There are the holes, but this is where, like I said, if I want any kind of hardware before I do the tissue or paper, I need to make sure that I put it in first. I am bummed that there wasn't glitter all the way to the edge, but I may add some glitter glue on that later. But we definitely have to decide. And I think I've decided now that I'm doing the Mod Podge tissue cover on the inside of it, on the inside instead of the outside. I'm going to be able to glue the fabric right onto the tissue on the inside of the cover. I don't need to hide it in between layers on the inside. It's fine. I'm going to be okay using that marbled fabric. But I'll show you guys on the next video or 2 videos from now or whenever I have a page to glue it down to. Once I think I have the cover where I think I want it, I will definitely, show you how the tabs may go on, but I have to get the tabs going. So here we go again. I'm cutting what looks like pre-done tabs or pre-done folds all ready to go, and I, immediately cut one of them too short again. I am eyeballing top and bottom, trying to decide what I think I want for my distressed area, and then I go right there. I go, ugh, it's not working. Because that is so standing out. And so I do sort of trim it. I don't go too far in. I do leave a little bit of that edge, but it definitely makes a difference to help line up my corners. And I do try to bring in the fabric. That's what it feels like, right? Bring in that paper gift bag stuff in a little bit to help keep that corner inside the paper and not have it sticking out. I'm trying to score it and press it down and use my bone folder to sort of help recreate a new line. Joy of this whole thing though is that it is an idea book, from materials I'm using to how I go about it. It's going to be a great access. I do so many wonderful things, and I don't get to keep all my ideas. Now here I finally got smart, or thought I got smart. Took one line that's folded there already and folded it in and sort of try to create those lines that I needed to cut, right? As long as I could have stayed outside the corner. And that one I stayed outside the corner, so we're okay. This one I think I cut it close and I get inside it. So if I shift it a little bit, it stays put, but it's, again, I'm borderlining it as usual. And I do have a little bit excess on that top pink, so I may cut some of that off. We'll see. All those little tricks, like finding the right corners, making sure there's enough, product to fold over to give you a nice clean, book cover binding. Oh, I kept feeling like I was going to my left, going to my left, going to my left in this whole video. Like the whole thing kept sliding away from me as I was working on it. I kept working towards the left. And I do that when I crochet. I will crochet down the blanket and I will turn my body more and more to the left until I go, wait a minute, you're supposed to be crocheting right in front of you. Like the blanket's supposed to move, not you. It's like I'm moving and not the blanket. I'm not shifting the blanket to my right as I'm crocheting to the left. And I keep moving to the left down the blanket. I'm like, you are such a dork. But that's what today was feeling like. I kept moving my cover to the left. I don't know why. So I was trying so hard to stay in camera, which I did really good. Surprisingly, even though I shifted a lot, I stayed in the cover or in the camera view. Um, okay, I did cut down the tabs. We're doing okay. So about 5 more minutes here, but this is pretty much my how-to to use, how to turn a gift bag into a cover, or using it, it's paper, right? We're using paper as paper, however it may be used, whether it's glossy, whether it's, shrink wrap, whether it's fabric, whatever it may be. A print job is a print job, and material is material. And so why not use the envelope from a from a packaged item that you got before? And why not turn your favorite gift bag into your cover material? Like, why not? I'm so stoked, right? So there's the back. Again, it has holes. I don't know if I'll keep it that way. I do realize in a second here that there's a pink bit of fabric, or pink bit of the backing of the bottom of the bag, or the top of the bag, that is showing, which there shouldn't be. And I thought that was sort of odd that there was some pink. I'm sort of bummed about that. There's holes there, so I may put a little bit of lace on that bottom. I may do something. I may flip the holes to the bottom and cover that all up a little bit in a different fashion on the back. Not too much, because I don't want to get too bulky, but it's a cover, right? It's still a cover idea, even if it's front. It's two fronts. Who cares? But I'm just sort of doing some trim work here. But I do appreciate you all for coming and joining along with me in this silly how-to. How to create another cover as we prep for our tab journal. Idea journal. This is an idea journal. This is definitely not something to sell. This is going to be a bunch of ideas through the year. All my favorite ideas, how it's working, how it's going. I love the glitter on the front, so it's going to be a great addition to start off my design work for the front. My favorite ways to decorate. And the goal will be to start laying it out. And then right there, I realized that as I pick it up that my cover is going to be weird. But everything's going to be 7 inches wide. It's always going to be 9 inches tall. At first, I thought I might make one page a little shorter, but I don't think so. So yeah, I'm talking about now you could make this a lot thicker. You could work pressboard. You could use a thicker cereal box. There's plenty of things you could do to make this a thicker cover. But being that we are using just fabric, we don't want the covers too heavy, so we don't rip the fabric by accident. We want to make sure things are easy to flip, but not so flimsy that we bend things wrong either. So, yeah, I want to be able to cut around the fabric tabs and have nice little zigzag chevron pattern around them. I like that with Rhoda's. It was really cute and really clean. So we'll sew the tabs together and for the fabric, and we'll make it work. And we'll get things going, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if I'll bring you along. Probably we'll chit-chat a little bit more about my weekend plans as we do my tissue Mod Podge. Yeah, I might keep it back. Like I said, put the lace and stuff on the bottom and sort of hide those grommets and those weird things, and have a little fun on the back. So I lay it out, and right there I realize the back is taller than the front, just by like 1/8 of an inch, eighth to a quarter. So we'll work on the front first. We'll always work towards the back. That back cover is the last thing you put on your tab journal anyway. And at that point, I will just center it on however the book pans out. And that back will definitely make sure all my pages are covered, that they're staying inside the book. All is good. We're going to have fun with that. I'll put the template properly together, so each page I know will never go beyond my 9x7. And it, we'll work it out too, to where if I want to, I'll make a tab to go maybe 7x7. If I want to keep any smaller pages to sit inside the 2 tabs every other page. So that's about as much as I will vary, but I really appreciate you all for coming, liking, loving, subscribing, dealing with this fun dubbed over version today. It wasn't too fast on the visual, which is great. And you got to hear just what needs to be done as I was working through it. And hopefully you'll enjoy this process as it goes on, day by day, week by week, every so often. This will just sort of pop up every so often as I'm working on something that I want to share you, especially if I've picked up on a challenge or someone did an awesome job and I want to continue to share their ideas. I will take my stab at it and see how it goes. So that are fabrics, beautiful pieces, and we'll keep trugging along at all of this. So love you all, and I think we'll talk real soon. Have a great day.